I'd like to call this meeting of the Assembly Committee on Natural Resources to order. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Assemblywoman Anderson? Assemblywoman Black?
Here.
Assemblywoman Brown May?
Here.
Assemblywoman Carlton?
Here.
Assemblywoman Cohen?
Here.
Assemblyman Ellison? Assemblywoman Gonzalez?
Here.
Assemblywoman Hanson?
Here.
Assemblywoman Martinez? Assemblywoman Titus?
Here.
Assemblyman Wheeler? Chair Watts?
Here. Thank you. We have all members present. We have a quorum. As a reminder, the legislative building is open at limited capacity. If you'd like to participate during our meetings in person, you have to register on Nellis and follow the instructions. We do limit in-person attendance, but are still allowing participation virtually via Zoom as well as via teleconference. A few other housekeeping items before we get into our agenda. You can find all the information on how to participate on our committee meeting agendas as well as on Nellis at the legislative website. Anyone wishing to sign up can do so there, as well as send written comments to our committee email address before, during, or up to 48 hours after a meeting. Any exhibits or amendments must be submitted electronically in PDF form to our committee manager no later than 4 p.m. the business day prior to the meeting. All exhibits can be found on the Nevada Legislature's website. We'll ask that public comments be kept to 2 minutes so that all speakers can be accommodated and we can get through our agenda in a timely manner. Speakers are urged to avoid repetition. Also, today we'll be limiting testimony in any one position on any one bill to a maximum of 30 minutes. For individuals that are present in our meeting room, please keep your face covering on and maintain social distancing. And again, members, please make sure to keep your devices muted, and then remember to press the microphone button before you speak so that we can capture what you're saying and broadcast it to those that are joining us digitally. With that, we have 2 bills up for hearings today on our agenda, and we are going to begin with Senate Bill 98, which makes various changes relating to the Carson Water Sub-Conservancy District. I see we have Senator Settlemyer here. I will now open the hearing on SB 98. Senator, please proceed whenever you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Watts. I appreciate that. And to the Committee of Assembly Natural Resources, good to be back in the Assembly Natural Resource Room again. In that respect, my name is Senator James Settlemyer. I represent Senate District 17, which includes all of Douglas, all of Lyon, all of Story, and all of Churchill County. Senate Bill 98 seeks to expand the boundary of the Carson Water Subconservancy District to include the portions of Story County that are within the Carson River hydrological basin. The measure will expand its membership and board of directors to that district from 11 to 13 by including 2 residents of the Story County who will be appointed, of course, by the Board of County Commissioners, as all the other members are from the other counties. The measure excludes the portion of Story County within the district from the taxable property on which the Board of Directors is authorized to levy a certain tax, but instead the Board of County Commissioners of Story County have chosen to pay the district from the county's general fund an amount equal to what would have been generated by such a tax on the portion of Story County that is within the Carson River hydrological basin. The bill, if passed, would be effective on July 1st of 2021. The reasoning of the bill is obviously in Nevada, water is a precious commodity, and currently they do receive water per se through the basin, and so they also drain into said basin, and they wish to become a more active member of the Carson Water Sub-Conservancy District in that respect. I do, Mr. Chairman, have a representative, Ed James, here from the Carson Water Sub-Conservancy District. We could ask questions now, but it may be wiser to allow him to give a presentation.
Thank you very much, Senator. We can have any co-presenters may go ahead and proceed, and then after that we'll open it up to members for questions. Welcome, Mr. Walker.
Good afternoon, Chairman Watts and committee members. For the record, my name is Steve Walker. I represent Story, Lyon, Douglas, and Carson City. I can't believe it, but I'm excited about testifying live for the first time. SB 98 is simple. We want to add the portion of Story County to the Carson Water Sub-Conservancy District that's within the Carson watershed. Like our regional legislative coalition, the counties that my wife and I represent, that I listed above, work together. We work regionally. We have the legislative coalition. We have the Quad County Health District. And this is simply adding Story County to the Carson Water Sub-Conservancy District to, again, keep working regionally. With me today, and I'm going to make this quite short, is Ed James. He is the CEO of the Carson Water Sub-Conservancy District. He can explain the bill further if it need be. And Austin Osborne, the county manager for Churchill County, was on Zoom. There he was. And he could answer other questions. Particularly, there is a fiscal note from Story County on it, and he can explain how that will work. Again, simple bill. This brochure was handed out or available on Nellis. If you look at the map and you look right by Dayton, where it says Dayton, you'll see a very little mountainous section of Story County. That's all we're doing. It's simple. We're adding that in, and they will pay just like the other counties pay the same amount. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Ed James. And again, nice to be here.
Good to have you back, Mr. Walker. Thank you. Mr. James, come on up. You may proceed whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Ed James. I'm with the Carson Water Sub-Conservancy District. And as you've already heard, this is a very simple bill. What I want to do is just give you a little background on the Carson Water Sub-Conservancy District. I won't go to the far back history, but in 1989, the Nevada Legislature realized that there is only so much water in the Carson, and yet there's all these different demands, and all the water has been fully allocated, groundwater and surface water. And so at that point, the Nevada Legislature said, we need to have an organization to kind of overlook and oversee and help get everyone working together in different counties. And so at that time, the counties involved were Douglas, Carson, and Lyon County. In 1999, Churchill County became a member through the legislative process. And then in 2001, Alpine County, which is in California, through joint powers, joined the Sub-Conservancy. Because again, we looked at, if we're going to talk on regional approaches, you might as well have the headwaters and the terminus. And the whole purpose is really work cooperatively. When we were created, the legislature said we had no regulatory authority, and it was done on purpose because they didn't want another party telling people what to do. So we really gather information. So we have 12 different water purveyors in this watershed, and our role really is to get information and provide them additional information. They know what they're doing in their own area, but do they understand how it may impact their neighbors? And so that's the role there. Most of the members on the Sub-Conservancy are county commissioners. We also have a few ranchers and other people involved with water. And so the idea of bringing in Story County, Austin Osborne has been an advisory member for several years. And this really because they do tie in. In fact, part of the Story County is above Lyon County, and we've had issues with flooding. We've had issues with noxious weeds. And dealing with them in Lyon County, if you don't start dealing with them in Story County, you're constantly chasing your tail on this. And so Austin has been there as an advisory member, and now we'd like to see him as an official member as we start dealing with, again, the whole resources of the watershed. So if there's any other questions, I think you've already heard the bill introduction. It's very straightforward, but I'm willing to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. James. And not seeing anything online. Members, do we have any questions for the presenters? Dr. Titus, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think, Mr. James, you answered part of my question. I really have two. One was the history behind not including, why wasn't Story included in 1999 when they added Churchill? What was this new thought process that you would add Story County now?
Well, I think originally, again, Story County did not touch the river. And when we were first organized, it really was more river central. You know, everything was focused on that. But over the years, and I've been there over 21 years, we realized that even if you don't touch the river, you're part of the watershed. And some of the runoff occurs coming down there. And I think over the years, and of course, Austin has been involved for all those years, and that's why he became on his own as a representative of Story County, as just an advisory member, because he realized the importance of that. And so that's why in 99, Churchill County, of course, was right there at the bottom of the river, and we thought it was real important that time to have them become a member, Alpine County. And just over the time period, we realized we've worked cooperatively, and you even see on the brochure, we mention Story County, because we know they're part of the watershed. They're a critical element. And hopefully, if you saw the links to those videos that I cited, you can talk about the watershed. We also talk about the importance of those interconnections. So
Great.
that is why now it's in a time, and with Austin being a county manager, I think he's seen the importance of it and has convinced his board, and Story County Commissioners unanimously voted to support this.
Thank you for that, because I think it's real important that everybody understands necessarily how important the overall water basins are as we talk about our drought and the water limited thereof in Nevada. It's not just about the surface water and that river running through it. It's actually how that river affects the water basin itself and everything else. So thank you for that clarification. And then regarding the bill itself, and I'm not sure, Mr. James, you're the best one to answer, but if you can find, under Section 1, number 5, specifically the way the tax is going to be leveled. I'm curious about that, the way it looks right now. In the other areas, the tax is leveled directly on the property owners. Is that correct?
That is correct.
But this will be unique in that it will not be levied on the payers or the residents or the property owners. It's going to be calculated and paid for by general fund from Story County. So all the people in Story County will contribute based on general fund dollars. How does that work?
That's probably a better one to ask Austin Osborne. He would probably have more details, but I would say that generally the idea was that everyone pays their 3 cents per 100 on a parcel, and so their calculation would be the same, but Story County would rather have it come out of their general fund, and I believe the estimate is like $16,000 or something is their estimated cost. It would be. There's not a lot of people on this side in that small area that's in the watershed. And we only charge people that are in the watershed itself, the boundaries. We do not charge, like in Douglas County, we don't charge anyone at the lake. In Lyon County, we don't charge anyone on the Walker or on the Truckee. It's just strictly the Carson.
So just to follow up on that, if I might, Mr. Chair, just for clarity. So
Quick
it's
follow-up, and then just a reminder for everyone to please, when responding, introduce yourself for the record before proceeding.
So it's going to be based on residential lots in that watershed identified, and then that'll be a calculation, and then the county will pay that, not the landowners.
For the record, Ed James, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the question.
Thank you. Members, do we have any other
Chairman
questions?
Watson.
Mr. Osborne,
Chairman Watson,
go
this is
ahead.
Austin Osborne. I'm on if you would like me to speak.
Yes, if there's anything you'd like to add, please proceed, Mr. Osborne.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Austin Osborne, County Manager for Story County, for the record. I'm happy to elaborate further into that question as well, when you would like. Just as an introduction with Story County, we've been cooperating with the Carson Water Subconservancy District for roughly 10 years, and everything that Director James has talked about, we share very strongly. Not only is our participation with the district good for the Carson River and neighboring counties, but also for us. It's good for our watersheds. It's good for our riparian environments in 6 Mile Canyon and Gold Canyon and other places throughout southern Story County, all for the benefit of the region. Some of the projects we worked on with the Subconservancy, and some of them are annually, are flood planning in Mark Twain. The flooding that goes on in Mark Twain directly affects Lyon County as well as us. So we feel that's a regional project, important for that reason. We've done 2D LiDAR and other mapping of the entire Comstock and south end of Story County for the purpose of future flood planning in these areas that not only help our community, but help the communities downstream in the abutting county. We've done annual noxious weeds abatement in most of these areas for the same reason. We are a seed source for the lower Carson River. So you'll have Dayton Valley Conservation District, Carson Water, and these other folks will put a tremendous amount of effort into restoring the Carson River, and then we become a noxious weed seed source that kind of undoes their efforts. So the work they've done with us up here in the upper watershed has helped the entire region as well. And then the rest of it, as far as education and outreach, they've done a tremendous job across the entire county, not just in the Carson River watershed. And they've helped us as an entire county comply with the National Flood Insurance Program that has helped our residences that are located in the floodplain get a 10% discount rating as we maintain a community rating system rating and maintain ourselves into that program. We wouldn't be able to do these things without the help of the Conservancy, and we like to also think that the work that we do is benefit to them and the region as well. All of this of regional importance, it allows us all as county commissioners and staff and others to come to the table and have collaborative discussions on how to make the watershed a better place for residences and wildlife and in the river itself. I want to thank Ed James and his team. They're a wonderful group of people and working in a non-regulatory way to make things work for the entire region. Story County supports SB 98, and I'm perfectly happy to answer any questions that you or this committee have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Osborne. Members, are there any other questions for the presenters of the bill? All right. Seeing none, thank you all. Thank you all for your presentation. With that, we will move on to testimony for Senate Bill 98. We'll begin with testimony in support. Again, as a reminder, to provide testimony, you must register in advance. Please remember to clearly state and spell your name. Limit your testimony to 2 minutes, and we will be limiting the length of each testimony period to 20 minutes. So with that, we will start with testimony in support of SB 98. Seeing none in the room, do we have anyone else joining us by Zoom? Seeing none, BPS, do we have anyone wishing to testify in support by phone?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support on SB 98, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits 280, please press star 6 to unmute. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record, and you may begin.
Hi, thank you, Chair Watts and members of the committee. My name is Colby Prout, C-O-L-B-Y-P-R-O-U-T. I'm the Natural Resources Manager for the Nevada Association of Counties. NACA supports cooperative and coordinated management of resources which impact county functions and infrastructure, as well as, and importantly, rangeland and watershed health. As was pointed out in the testimony on the bill, Story County's official participation in the Conservancy makes logical sense and will lead to more cogent and holistic management of the Carson River Basin. We'd like to reiterate much of the testimony and the rationale for adding them, but at the interest of time, I'll just say ditto to what's been said, and thank you for your time, and we urge your support with SB 98.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We'll go on to the next caller in support.
Chair, there are no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to testimony in opposition of SB 98. Seeing none in the room, do we have anyone participating via Zoom? Seeing none, broadcast production services, do we have anyone wishing to testify in opposition by phone?
To testify in opposition on SB 98, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to testimony in the neutral position on SB 98. Seeing nobody in the room, we'll go to Zoom. And with that, BPS, do we have anyone wishing to provide neutral testimony by phone?
To testify in neutral on SB 98, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you. Senator, are there any closing remarks you'd like to make?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for taking the time in committee for hearing this bill today. If there are any issues or concerns that you have, please reach out to me, and I'll reach out to you as well to see if there are any additional issues or concerns. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much for the presentation. With that, I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 98, and we will open the hearing on Senate Bill 52, which requires the establishment of a program for awarding a dark sky designation to certain sites in this state. I believe we have Lieutenant Governor Marshall here, as well as some others to present. So, Lieutenant Governor, you may go ahead and start whenever you are ready.
Thank you. My name is Kate Marshall. I'm Lieutenant Governor of the state of Nevada, and I greatly appreciate you allowing me to speak in front of you today on this bill. Good afternoon, Chair Watts and committee members. Late last fall, my office was contacted by Colin Robertson, who is the administrator of Nevada's Division of Outdoor Recreation, to discuss the topic of creating a voluntary state-level dark skies designation in Nevada. Knowing about what the Friends of Nevada Wilderness did to secure a dark sky designation for the Massacre Rim Wilderness Study Area in Washoe as the 7th international dark sky sanctuary in the world, I was very, very interested in providing an opportunity for other communities who might want to pursue a dark sky designation in Nevada. According to the International Dark Sky Sanctuary Association, a dark sky sanctuary is a public or private land that has an exceptional or distinguished quality of starry nights, and a nocturnal environment that is protected for its scientific, natural, or educational value, its cultural heritage, and or public enjoyment. And quite frankly, Nevada has an abundance of dark skies compared to other states in the lower 48. When we look at the Massacre Rim study area, we saw immediate media attention. We saw an increase in stargazing activities, and we saw an immense public interest and local benefit to that dark sky area from achieving that designation. As chair of the Nevada Commission on Tourism and chair of the advisory board on outdoor recreation, I truly believe that the passage of SB 52 would not only increase our statewide conservation efforts, but also significantly contribute to the economic potential of Nevada's rural tourism and outdoor recreation industry. Certainly, during this pandemic, we have realized the importance of economic diversification. And we've also seen how outdoor recreation in the rural parts of Nevada can add a layer of resiliency and diversification to our economy that gives us some evening out from the boom-bust economy that Nevada has traditionally bore the brunt of. In 2019, outdoor recreation accounted for nearly $5.5 billion in our GDP. That actually represents a higher share of GDP in Nevada than it does on average in the United States. On average, about 2.1% of a particular state's economy comes from outdoor recreation, but in Nevada, it's 3.1%. Outdoor recreation, like I was saying, has proven its ability to persevere and thrive in the hardest of times, generating consistent jobs and revenue. which, as we've seen, is very, very important. It's also protecting our dark skies and natural resources also allows us to leverage a uniquely Nevada experience. Brings people so they can see kind of the beautiful rural parts of our state. And one of the reasons that it really adds to our economy is that in order to see dark skies, by definition, you have to spend the night. So I would like to turn the testimony over to Colin Robertson now, who's head of the Division of Outdoor Recreation, to walk the committee through, you can see the presentation up there on your screens, to walk the committee through a presentation, the specific language of the bill, and answer any questions that members may have. Again, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor Marshall. Mr. Robertson, you may proceed with your presentation whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Chair Watts and members of the Assembly Committee on Natural Resources. For the record, my name is Colin Robertson, and I am the administrator of the new Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation in the Nevada Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. It is nice to see you all, and I appreciate the opportunity to introduce and provide testimony in support of Senate Bill 52 today. In short, SB 52 directs the administrator of the Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation to establish by regulation a voluntary, locally led program for awarding a designation for sites in the state that are especially dark or relatively free of the interference of artificial light. I want to pause for a moment and emphasize the voluntary, locally led intent of this bill. The bill also directs the administrator of NDOR to establish the standards for awarding designation, the categories for designation, and the procedures for applying for designation, reviewing, awarding, and suspending or revoking designation, and for appealing suspension or revocation of designation. SB 52 represents an important opportunity to leverage the creation of the Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation to tie together, as Lieutenant Governor Marshall has just explained, Nevada's extraordinary outdoor recreation opportunities with the growing importance of outdoor recreation to Nevada's economy and the burgeoning interest in travel, tourism, and recreation linked to dark night skies. According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis Outdoor Recreation Satellite, outdoor recreation accounted for $5.5 billion of the state's economic productivity in 2019, representing 3.1% of the state's gross domestic product. Much of this economic value is captured in communities across the state that are gateways to Nevada's most beloved recreation opportunities and places that also enjoy Nevada's darkest skies, roughly aligned with the map of the Basin and Range Dark Sky Cooperative visualized here in slide 4. Think of communities like Ely and Baker in White Pine County, adjacent to Great Basin National Park, or the communities of Lincoln County along Highway 93, or Boulder City and Mesquite in Clark County and their proximity to the dark skies of Lake Mead National Recreation Area and Gold Butte National Monument, respectively. As Mitchell and Galloway write in their research article, Dark Sky Tourism, Economic Impacts on the Colorado Plateau Economy, quote, crucially, from an economic standpoint, the single most important thing about dark sky tourism is that it necessitates one or more overnight stays, end quote. In addition to the economic benefits, there are numerous ecological, environmental, and cultural benefits associated with Nevada's dark skies. Preserving darkness helps improve wildlife migration, reduces energy consumption, supports goals associated with the state's climate strategy, underpins important quality of life indicators, and contributes to the cultural preservation of traditional knowledge about the night sky. SB 52 acknowledges Nevada's extraordinary dark night skies as an important public natural and cultural resource. The bill establishes their intrinsic value and their importance as a quality of life indicator for Nevadans, as an economic amplifier in terms of dark sky and outdoor recreation oriented tourism, and as an ecologically, astronomically, and environmentally vital natural resource. For the record, I'd like to introduce 2 letters of support for SB 52. The first is a letter of collective support for the bill from more than 25 signatory organizations, businesses, and individuals across Nevada, expressing their support for the bill and its objectives. The second is a letter from the Town Board of Tonopah. Both have been provided to staff for the record. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge Nevada photographers Kurt Kuznicki, Jeff Sullivan, and Chip Caroon for their incredible images of Nevada's beautiful dark skies featured in this presentation. And with that overview, Chair Watts, I am happy to take any questions you and members of the committee may have.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for your presentation, Mr. Robertson. With that, we'll turn it over to members for questions. I believe first up, we have Assemblywoman Titus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor and group for presenting this bill. Living out in rural Nevada, I frequently will take my grandkids out with binoculars or telescopes or just with their naked eyes and look up at the skies and try to identify planets and stars, etc. So I really appreciate the fact that Nevada does have dark skies. We were very disappointed when we looked to the north and see Reno lights out there. And just so you know that I do appreciate what you're trying to do. I have concerns, however, on the last page of the bill in section 1, I guess, and then the M, you're establishing the program and having certain awards, being awarded the night sky area. In my rural community, we have barn lights. We have ranchers that mow their fields at 2 o'clock in the morning and bale, especially bale their hay in early hours when the dew is just right on these bales of hay. We had people move into our community, enough of them that they formed this group to create dark skies, and they wanted those ranchers not to farm at night. They wanted us not to have our barn lights out there because it was ruining their night vision. So I have concerns that in that statement where you establish the rules, you don't have in there like a number 7 or so that says protesting, that a group, because you say if it's a local group, if there's enough of them, they want to perform this. Where's the rights of the people that have existed there for a long time to say, wait a minute here, we have our rights too in this community. So I don't see anything where it really protests or allowing for a protest of the designation. Only you can fight it if it's been denied. You can fight it if it's been suspended. But where's the process to protest the designation?
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Kate Marshall, for the record. I will begin to answer and then I'll let Colin follow up, but through you, Chair Watts, to the Assemblywoman, I appreciate your question. The first place, obviously, and the most important place for a community to choose whether or not that they want to apply for a designation is at the local level. So obviously, if a community had some disagreement locally as to whether or not to apply, that would be at the local level where they would choose as a community whether or not they wanted to. In other words, we are not in a position, I'm sorry, I hear some back noise, but we are not in a position to influence or interrupt a community's process by which they decide whether or not to apply. So if a private ranch owner wanted to apply, then that private owner can apply with respect to their private property. We do have some ranch owners who have talked to us about applying because they attract people to their ranch to visit. If a town wanted to apply or a particular area wanted to apply, they would have to go to their city council or go to their county commission and follow all the processes by which communities agree to do something or decide not to do something before it ever came to us. So the first place when you ask about where could people protest would be at the community level in which they are seeking a designation. Thank you. And I'll let Colin answer some more information if he'd like.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. For the record, Colin Robertson, Division of Outdoor Recreation. I would only add that in addition to the very locally led effort that this would help to promote and celebrate, that this is largely oriented toward municipal efforts. It is not at all, the intention is not at all tied to private lighting of ranchers or farmers working overnight, but instead to encourage collective effort at the municipal level to move forward.
And thank you for that. And thank you, Mr. Chair, for the question. That did happen in my community, so it left me pretty sensitive about folks coming in and suddenly saying, hey, you have to do it this way now. So thank you, both of you.
Thank you, Dr. Titus. And I'd also just like to see if our committee counsel, Mr. Amburn, has anything to add.
Thank you, Chair Watts. Alan Amburn for the record. So just 2 points regarding your question, Assemblywoman. The first one being the provisions in that subparagraph 1, 2, and 3 on page 4 of the bill. So those are regulations that must be included without limitation, but those are not prohibitions from additional regulations being adopted to carry out this program. And then the second point is that these regulations would go through the Chapter 233B process. So if there is a concern with those regulations as drafted, those concerns could be addressed during that process.
Thank you. I believe we have Assemblyman Ellison next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the questions I do have is there's a lot of restricted space that's been designated as restricted or rural or across the whole state of Nevada. Wouldn't that be an area you'd want to focus at instead of close to townships and stuff like this?
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Kate Marshall, for the record. Through you, Chairman Watts, to Assemblyman Ellison, thank you so much for the question. Again, I want to reiterate that this is a voluntary opportunity for communities. We will not go out and dictate, impose, push any community. It is up to communities who would like to take advantage of this if they believe that it will further their economic opportunities or further their natural assets, which they believe is something valuable to what they are trying to do as a community, to choose to come forward and to be apply for a voluntary, locally led designation. So, for example, if there is no community in a particular area, then that area probably, I don't know who would come forward. So it is really all about communities having more choices to be able to attract tourists to their area and to highlight the outdoor beauty and natural assets that they have. We are not imposing any regulations or directing any activity to one place or another. For example, you saw that Tonopah is very eager to participate. You'll also see in those letters that the city of Boulder believes that it may have some areas that they could highlight. Caliente, for example, you could see the Milky Way with the naked eye in the evening in Caliente. So if those areas might have an interest, other areas which have prohibitions for flying over or this kind of thing might not have an interest. It is really, that is again, a locally led endeavor. We are just here to facilitate that if people would like to. And I'll turn it over to Colin if he wants to add things. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin Robertson, Division of Outdoor Recreation. For the record, I would just add that that this is very much a opportunity, really, to support rural community and economic development attached to those natural assets. And it's really an opportunity, I think, from our perspective, not a restriction.
Follow up, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I thank you guys for verifying that, but it looked like to me that it'd go back to the county commissioner. If somebody, like say Tonopah, said, okay, we're really interested in doing this. So they'd have to make an application or request with the county commissioners in that county to do so. Is that correct?
Thank you, Assemblyman Ellison, for your question. Lieutenant Governor Kate Marshall, for the record, again, through you, Chair Watts, to Assemblyman Ellison. I appreciate that question. It would depend on the size of the community. Obviously, Tonopah is a city in its own right and would not necessarily have to go to the Nye County Commissioners if the designated area that they were seeking to have identified was within their own municipality. I know that Tonopah does have a dark sky, it's a kind of a tiny park. I don't know how big we want to say a park is, because I helped them get a sign with the help of NDOT, so people could actually go to that park at night. So I know that Tonopah is very interested in attracting people to their community to see the dark skies that are available in the city of Tonopah. So they could follow a process that fit within the laws, rules, and regulations of that municipality. And if their laws require them to go to the county, then they will go to the county. If their laws require them to only go to the city, they can go to the city. Again, we see it as an opportunity. We are not here to impose or create new regulations or restrictions, or to omit regulations or restrictions that are already there today. We are simply here to highlight an opportunity that might allow people to become more aware of what Nevada has that a lot of other places don't have. And Colin, if you would like to add information.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, do we have any other questions for the presenters? Seeing none, I do have one quick question, and I hope not to muddy the issues, but I was wondering, particularly Mr. Robertson, if you might be able to speak to the international dark sky designations and what designations we have within the state of Nevada already. I believe Great Basin National Park is designated as an international dark sky park. And I know that there are dark sky community designations as well. I understand that what we're talking about is the formation of a state program and designation. But I was wondering if you could just speak to some of the designations that currently exist here and how this program may assist us in getting additional international recognition.
Thank you, Chair Watts, for the question. Colin Robertson, Division of Outdoor Recreation, for the record. That is correct. Among other places, the Lieutenant Governor mentioned in her introductory remarks the Massacre Rim Dark Sky Sanctuary in northern Washoe County, which was identified and certified as an International Dark Sky Association Dark Sky Sanctuary, the 7th of only 14 in the world at this time. And as you mentioned, Great Basin National Park is an identified and certified dark sky park as part of the International Dark Sky Association's Dark Sky Places program. The goal here is to encourage communities to essentially try to attain those certifications, but to also provide a state designation acknowledging the effort, the fairly rigorous effort that communities, for example, would go through to become certified. But this is a state designation to acknowledge and celebrate that effort.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Robertson. I'm looking at a list of certified international dark sky communities, and I see quite a few in Arizona and a couple in Colorado. Looks like we've got one or two in Utah, maybe one in California. And having been out, especially to eastern Nevada, and seeing the quality of the dark skies there, I think it would be great to have any sort of program that can help assist some of the communities in our state in getting on that map, and again bringing in some of that tourism that requires overnight stays, which is really one of the critical tourism revenue generators for communities. So thank you for that. One last check. Members, any additional questions for our presenters? All right, seeing none, thank you both for your presentation. We will now move on to testimony on Senate Bill 52. We'll start. We have no one in the room in support. I'll first see if we have anybody joining us by Zoom wishing to provide testimony in support. And seeing none, Broadcast Production Services, can we open up the queue to see who would like to testify in support of SB 52 by phone?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support on SB 52, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 656, please slowly state and spell your name for the record, and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Will Pregman, W-I-L-L-P like Peter, R-E-G-M-A-N, on behalf of Battleborn Progress. We rise in support of SB 52. Last session, we advocated for the bill to establish the Division of Outdoor Recreation within the State Department, and this bill would direct that division to allow for applications for the dark sky designation in specific outdoor areas and reserves in Nevada. Dark night skies are an important natural resource to be protected. Areas free of light pollution support natural ecosystems, provide for outdoor recreation tourism opportunities, and aid scientific discovery by supporting astronomical research. Nevada already has several dark sky designations that bring natural, cultural, and economic value to the state. One example is Ely's Northern Nevada Railway, Great Basin Star Train, an internationally renowned dark sky designation. This bill, SB 52, would give local communities the option to work with the division to set these designations to bolster our outdoor recreation economy and preserve the natural ecosystem of those areas. The public education on the importance of dark skies as a natural and cultural resource will also further Nevada's advancement of environmental science to keep our state at the cutting edge of conservation and supporting a robust outdoor recreation economy. We thank Lieutenant Governor Marshall for bringing this bill and the committee for hearing it today, and we urge members to consider passing it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Pregman. We'll go on to the next caller in support.
Caller with the last 3 digits, 463, please slowly state and spell your name for the record, and you may begin.
My name is Nick Christensen, Nickchristensen. I'm a volunteer member of the Sierra Club's Legislative Committee, a longtime amateur astronomer, and a former astrophysics student. On behalf of the Sierra Club and our more than 40,000 members and supporters statewide, I am speaking today in support of SB 52. Nevada has more acreage of high-quality dark sky spaces than any other state in the lower 48. This is a precious natural resource that Nevada should both conserve and use to our citizens' benefit. In particular, Nevada's dark skies attract tourists, which supports our economy and becomes increasingly valuable as the rest of our country becomes ever more light polluted. We believe that SB 52 will assist in these laudable goals, and we support its passage. Pervasive light pollution disrupts human sleep cycles, wastes energy, and creates problems for wildlife. Of course, we should light our cities for commerce and safety, but at the same time, we should seek to preserve true dark sky sites as a precious natural resource. Many people growing up these days, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds, have never seen the Milky Way or experienced the majesty of a true nighttime dark sky. As cities, suburbs, and exurbs continue to encroach on our wilderness areas, preserving dark sky spaces provides excellent educational opportunities as well as a tie to our heritage. For these reasons, we support SB 52, and we urge you to support this bill. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your remarks. We'll go on to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 119. Please press *6 to unmute. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record, and you may begin.
Hi, my name is Sharon Netherton, SHAARON NETHERTON, and I'm representing Friends of Nevada Wilderness. Thank you, Chair Watts and members of the committee for taking my testimony. We're very supportive of SB 52 and feel that dark sky tourism is an excellent addition to the wide spectrum of recreation opportunities available across the state for both residents and tourists alike. What a great way to get familiar with Nevada's backcountry, amazing starry skies at night, and exploring the beauty and history of Nevada's public lands and rural communities by day. Dark sky tourism is a great way for all of us to work together, like the Park to Park in the Dark group of rural communities, Travel Nevada, public land managers, and others like Friends of Nevada Wilderness, looking at starry sky tourism opportunities from Death Valley National Park to the Great Basin National Park across central Nevada. This is a great bill, and we ask that you support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your testimony, Ms. Netherton. We'll go on to the next caller in support.
Caller with the last three digits, 155. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record, and you may begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Christy Cabrera, CHRISTI and I'm the Policy and Advocacy Director for the Nevada Conservation League. We are in strong support of SB 52, which acknowledges that Nevada's extraordinary dark skies are an important natural resource in our state that should be celebrated, valued, and protected. Protecting these spaces will benefit wildlife, as light pollution has been shown to disrupt migration patterns, reproduction, hunting, sleep, and protection. Scientific evidence suggests that light pollution has negative and deadly effects on numerous species of amphibians, birds, mammals, insects, and plants. Preserving our dark skies also benefits the environment and our climate goals. It is estimated that 30% of outdoor lighting in the United States is wasted as light pollution. That adds up to $3.3 billion and the release of 21 million tons of carbon dioxide every year. Reducing light pollution will help us lower emissions and lower energy costs. Encouraging the promotion and protection of our dark skies will benefit climate and conservation efforts, wildlife, and our economy, all while solidifying Nevada as a dark sky designation. We would like to thank the Lieutenant Governor and the Office of Outdoor Recreation for bringing this legislation forward, and we urge the committee's support. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you for your comments. We'll move on to the next caller wishing to offer testimony and support.
Caller with the last three digits, 092. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes. May begin.
Hi, my name is Tiffany East, TIFFANY-EAST. Good afternoon, Chairman Watts and Assemblymen and women of the Assembly Natural Resources Committee. It's nice to see you all together. For the record, my name is Tiffany East, and I'm the chairwoman of the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners. The Wildlife Commission supports SB 52. For many years, Nevadans and visitors alike have experienced the incredible beauty of Nevada's dark skies. As Mr. Robertson indicated in his testimony, dark skies improve wildlife migration and our natural ecosystems, as well as many other values and benefits that have already been stated, so I'm not going to repeat all of that. Just on behalf of the Wildlife Commission, we encourage your support of SB 52. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony, Chairwoman East. We'll go on to the next caller wishing to offer support.
Caller with the last three digits, 345. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record, and you may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Marcia Hurd. It's M-A-R-C-I-A. Last name is H-U-R-D. And I'm representing the Lincoln County Authority of Tourism. This is going to be about Lincoln County. And 98% of Lincoln County is federally managed lands. That's 98% of over 10,000 square miles. That makes tourism very critical to our survival and growth. So we promote state parks, wilderness areas, and outdoor recreation travel itineraries. Lincoln County is also home to the Extraterrestrial Highway, a large section of the Great Basin Scenic Highway, and the Mount Wilson Backcountry Byway. Lincoln County Authority of Tourism just completed a lengthy process, partnered with the Nevada Commission on Tourism, Travel Nevada, and Nevada Department of Recreation to create a 10-year destination development plan. Part of that tourism strategy created through this process is to promote and advocate for use of that 98% of wide open spaces that Lincoln County has. This is where dark skies designation is, in our opinion, screaming to be identified and utilized. Having said that, we would like to ask that you support SB 52. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We'll go on to the next caller in support.
Caller with the last three digits 754. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record, and you may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Carlo Luri, C-A-R-L-O, last name L-U-R-I. And I am on the board of the Nevada Outdoor Business Coalition. I'm also an employee at the Bentley Heritage Estate Distillery in Minden. I'd just like to say, as a business that relies on tourism for much of its revenue, we are in full support of any initiative, and especially this initiative, which attracts people to visit our great state and take advantage of the beautiful natural resources that we have available to us. And just on a personal note, I have been to both of the International Dark Sky recognized areas in our state, the Massacre Rim up north of the Black Rock Desert, and the Great Basin Park, where we did the Park After Dark program. And those are just amazing, memorable experiences that I think everyone should have a chance to experience. And so we're in full support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm hearing about some of my favorite destinations. All right, we'll go on to the next caller wishing to offer testimony and support.
Caller with the last three digits 034. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record, and you may begin.
Thank you, Chair Watts. For the record, my name is Jill Lagan, L-A-G-A-N, CEO of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce and Commissioner with Nevada Commission on Tourism. I'd like to share enthusiastic support for SB 52 and thank all those that have worked so hard up to this point. The Boulder City Chamber of Commerce believes that a proper balance of business, tourism, and environmental protection of our greatest natural resources can be achieved with partnerships and collaboration like those involved in SB 52 and all dark sky enthusiasts. Boulder City would most definitely take advantage of a dark sky designation program, as we have built into our economic development strategy proper use and promotion of recreational assets, public lands, and wildlife and dark sky viewing. Our tourism and business community welcome the opportunity to share our location as the gateway to Lake Mead National Recreation Area and the potential Kawa-Ami National Monument, home to some of the best dark sky viewing areas in southern Nevada. Thank you for your consideration of SB 52 and positively impacting our Nevada outdoor recreation enjoyment and economy.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We'll go on to the next caller wishing to offer support.
Caller with the last three digits 685. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record, and you may begin.
Good evening, Chair Watts, members of the Committee on Natural Resources. For the record, my name is Daniel Perot, spelled D-A-N-I-E-L-P-I-E-R-R-O-T-T, with our Argentum partners, and I'm testifying in support of SB 52 on behalf of our client, the Nevada Northern Railway Foundation. The Foundation's mission is to preserve the history of short-line railroads and mining in Nevada. Prior to the ongoing pandemic, we saw approximately 28,000 tourists a year. The most popular attraction that we offer is the Great Basin Star Train in conjunction with the Great Basin National Park. Our guests depart the station late in the evening are given an opportunity to view the night sky free from light pollution and artificial light, an experience that allows our guests to view the night sky in its purest state. As a registered National Historic Landmark, we strongly believe that SB 52 will give us the opportunity to be awarded a dark light designation, which will further increase tourism in rural northern Nevada. For these reasons, we're in support of SB 52. Thank you for your time and consideration on this important piece of legislation.
Thank you very much. We'll go on to the next caller in support.
Caller with the last three digits 192, please solely state, spell your name for the record, and you may begin.
My name is Kirk Peterson, Kirkpeterson, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Basin Range Dark Sky Cooperative. All terrestrial life on Earth evolved to live and thrive with the shift from daylight to the natural darkness of the night sky. In humans, this rhythmic pattern sets our biological clock and keeps our periods of rest and activity balanced to assure optimal functioning. Until the advent of electric lights, humans rarely experienced anything brighter than firelight after the sun had set and the natural darkness set in. With the dramatic increase of artificial light, we humans have changed the nocturnal environment across our planet. This is a fundamental and detrimental change in the natural rhythms and life cycles of both humans and wildlife. Keeping a natural night sky is not only important for all nocturnal wildlife, but also for the nocturnal insects that wildlife species depend on for food, and for the many plants that depend on these insects for pollination. The Basin Range Dark Sky Cooperative aims to work with interested communities and existing protected areas to create win-win situations for Nevadans and Nevada wildlife, and to celebrate natural nighttime environments. Night skies are important for economic development of rural Nevada communities and a valuable way to create a tangible connection with our landscape and our Nevada cultural heritage. Clear desert skies and mountain skies with a bright Milky Way overhead are an essential part of the Nevada experience. SB 52 aims to help us recognize how rare this is and why our night skies are worth keeping. This is why the Basin and Range Dark Sky Cooperative supports SB 52 and why we hope you will too. Thank you for this opportunity to comment.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We'll go on to the next caller in support.
Chair, there are no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move to testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 52. Seeing none in the room, do we have anyone wishing to join us by Zoom in opposition? Seeing none there. Broadcast Production Services, do we have anyone wishing to provide testimony in opposition by phone?
To testify in opposition on SB 52, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to testimony in neutral on SB 52. Seeing none in the room, anyone wishing to provide neutral testimony via Zoom? Seeing none. Broadcast, can we see if we have anyone wishing to provide testimony in the neutral position?
To testify in neutral on SB 52, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you. Lieutenant Governor, are there any closing remarks that you'd wish to make?
Lieutenant Governor Kate Marshall, for the record, I just want to thank everyone for their time, and I appreciated the questions. Thank you again for all the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you very much for presenting this bill. As someone who grew up in Las Vegas and then got to see some of the incredible dark skies available in other parts of the state, I'm glad that this is a conversation that we're having about promoting those assets and that heritage and trying to get more people to experience it, as well as delivering economic benefits to communities throughout the state. With that, I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 52. That brings us to the last item on our agenda, which is public comment. As a reminder, in order to provide public comment, you must register in advance. And we ask folks to limit their remarks to 2 minutes and to please clearly state and spell their name before beginning. With that, Broadcast Production Services, do we have anyone wishing to provide public comment?
To take your place in the public comment queue, please press *9 now. Chair, the public line is open and working, but there are no callers at this time.
Thank you. All right. With that, members, that concludes our agenda for today. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday, the 28th. We'll have 2 resolutions and 1 bill on our agenda then. With that, this meeting is adjourned.